Welcome back to more Sip2Tally. I'm your host, Coach Evans, and today on the more Sip2Tally Power Rankings, we're going to talk about the number 7 team, the Houston Texans. A team who surprised a lot of people and made it to the second round of the NFL playoffs and had a quarterback that shocked a lot. But, talking about that quarterback who was CJ Stroud, let's get into each individual room, talk about the players in that room, and see how well I like or dislike the room as a whole. And CJ Stroud was the quarterback that wasn't really talked about a lot, going into the draft, but he ended up being the best QB out of that draft, out of the big three. And the big three being C.J. Stroud, AR from the Colts, and Bryce Young from the Panthers. And C.J. Stroud had a wonderful rookie campaign, throwing for 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Didn't throw an interception till like week 8 or 9 maybe, somewhere in about there. Passer rating 100.8, led them to the second round of the playoffs. Again, the first round they beat Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken. Second round they played the Ravens again and lost to the Ravens in a game that was closer than I think the score indicated. But backing him up, Case Keenum, longtime NFL vet, 35 years old, threw for 291 yards, and rounding out that room is a guy that's been with the Texans for a while, and that's Davis Mills, who threw for 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And that's their quarterback room. But C.J. Stroud is one of the best quarterbacks in the league already, and this will just be his second year. Let's talk about the running backs. Now, they got rid of their lead running back and brought in Joe Mixon from the Cincinnati Bengals. Last year, Mixon hit 1,000 yards again, rushing for 1,034 and 9 touchdowns. Also catching 52 balls for 376 yards and 3 touchdowns. Mixon is a back that can give you a little bit of everything. He can run the ball for power. He can run the ball for speed. Also has great vision. Also can catch the ball out the backfield and do what you need to do in that aspect of the game also. They still got Dameon Pierce, who they drafted a couple years ago, who kind of declined after a successful rookie season. But that should be a formidable backup to Pierce. To Mixon. And then they got Dyer. His last name be killing me, but last year he didn't play very much. Played 12 games, didn't have but 8 carries, only had 2 catches for 18 yards. But there's their running back room. But I think Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce is a good 1-2 punch for what they're going to try to do this year in Houston. And I think they're going to try to run a little bit more to take some of that pressure off of off of CJ. Now I don't think they need to, but we'll see. And I'm going to tell you why I don't think they need to take that pressure off of it. And that's because of the wide receiver room. They added Stephon Diggs to a wide receiver room that was pretty already good. Stephon Diggs last year in Buffalo, when they changed coordinators, his role kind of diminished, but he still had 107 catches for 1,183 yards and 8 touchdowns. And that's when the philosophy in Buffalo changed when they got rid of offensive coordinator. They went to a more run-heavy scheme, and Stephon, I ain't gonna say got phased out, but he wasn't used as much, but still had those type of numbers. Nico Collins is a guy who emerged last year for Houston. He had 80 catches, 1,297 yards, 8 touchdowns as well. Tank Dell, who was a rookie last year, who was having a great rookie campaign before he got hurt. 47 catches, 709 yards, 7 touchdowns. They also got Robert Woods in that room, Noah Brown, and John Mechie. That's a really good receiver room when you look at the totality of it. A lot of young guys that stepped up and came into their own. Then you add the savvy vet, Stephon Diggs. I think they got a great blend of young, old, experience, youthful exuberance in that wide receiver room, and it's going to be fun to watch these guys develop with their quarterback. Let's talk about the tight ends. They got a good set of tight ends. Dalton Schultz last year, he bailed CJ out in a lot of situations, made a lot of big catches, made a lot of big plays that I didn't think he was going to make coming from Dallas, and he went to Houston and kind of showed me his worth. 59 catches, 635 yards, 5 touchdowns. But they also got Brevin Jordan, who I really like, that played in Miami. I think he could be more of their H-back type tight end. You're a guy you can move around and do different things, but also make him block as well. So I think if they use those two guys interchangeably, but in different roles, Schultz be your inline guy and the guy you split out, and then Brevin Jordan be your H-back, the guy you put in motion behind the line of scrimmage, out in the flats, things like that. I think you can get a lot out of your tight end usage, and then They got the rookie Cade Stover, who played with CJ at Ohio State, coming in to round out their tight end room. Let's talk about the guys that's going to block for CJ. And again, these are all the PFF grades. You got Lerman Tunsil at left tackle, who's set and reset the market as far as getting paid at that position a couple times. Keon Green, 58.9. Center, Jared Patterson, which is probably going to be the biggest battle of their center position. Right guard, Shaq Mason. Right tackle, Titus Howard. Mason, 65.6. And then Titus Howard is the 46.8. But Lerman Tunsil is the best O-lineman they got. Like I said, he's set and reset the market a couple times at the left tackle position. A guy that's, you pretty much know what you're going to get out of him, and one of the best in the business right now. Let's talk about their defense a little bit, which is where they shine. Their head coach is a defensive guy, and they've gotten better and better and better defensively. 4-3 team. If you don't know, their head coach was the DC in San Francisco 2 years ago before getting this job last year and doing a great job of revamping their defense. 4-3 team on the edge. They got two premier edge guys. Will Anderson was one of their top picks last year. Shined. Last year, 45 tackles, 7 sacks, 10 TFLs, 22 QB hits. But now you pair him with a premier pass rusher on the other side. So now you got two guys that can get after the quarterback, and that second guy is Danielle Hunter. Last year, Danielle Hunter had 16.5 sacks, 83 tackles. So you got Will Anderson on one side, Danielle Hunter on the other. That's a really good 1-2 punch on the defensive end for the Houston Texans. In the middle, you got Denicia Archer, who had 11.5 sacks, 50 tackles, which was sack-wise his best year in of his career, and he's 33. And then you got Foley Vakoski. I think that's how you say his last name. He only had 24 tackles but had no sacks. But those two edge guys will really help their guys up the middle. And I think they drafted some guys that kind of help work the middle too. But we'll get to the draft picks once we get to the end. Let's talk about their linebacker room. A guy that I really like, Christian Harris, last year. Came into his own from Alabama a couple years ago. Had 101 tackles, 65 solos, 7 TFLs. They brought in Azeez Al-Shahir from Tennessee. He had 163 tackles last year. He's probably going to be the Mike. He had 9 TFLs, 4 passes defended. Then the weak side linebacker, another Alabama guy, Henry To'o. I think that's how you say his last name. But keep in mind these Alabama backers. So you got Christian Harris, Henry To'o, and the head coach is an Alabama backer also. And I can't remember where Azeez went to school at. And if he went to Alabama, it'd be really funny too. But we'll see. I'll go back and look at it in a minute. But those three guys are their backers. Again, Azeez had 163 tackles. Christian Harris had 101. And then I know how good Henry is. And he'll be the backer. When they're in their base, he'll be the third backer in there. But a lot of times, you have to play nickel, and he'll be the guy to come out. Let's talk about their cornerbacks. And they got, I think, one really good cornerback and 2 average guys in that room. We all know who Derek Stingley is last year. 13 passes defended, 5 interceptions, 39 tackles. They brought in Jeff Okudah from Atlanta. Last year he had 44 tackles, 3 passes defended, no interceptions. And then they also got Miles Bryant in there as their nickel corner. He had 1 interception, 7 passes defended, and 77 tackles. You got Derek Stingley in that room, and Jeff Okudah, who was a high draft pick, hadn't really, this will be his 3rd team also, hadn't really lived up to that high draft pick, but he's a solid guy. And then Miles Bryant will be the nickel guy to come in and try to defend, that the other team's 3rd wide receiver. Go to their safety room, which I think is improved. Got Jimmy Ward in that room also, but I think the star of their safety room is Jalen Petrie, guy who they drafted. And they did a good job of, when they were down bad, using their picks and getting quality guys. And Jalen Petrie is one of those guys that can do a bunch of different things. Last year, Petrie had 84 tackles. He had 5 passes defended, 6 TFLs, and 2 QB hits. So he's just all over the field. And most good safeties are stat sheet stuffers. They get a few tackles, a few interceptions, PBUs, TFLs, a sack or 2. And that's what Jalen Petrie does. And pair him with Jimmy Ward, you got a pretty good safety combination back there on the back end for the Houston Texans. So let's take a look at each position, how I have them ranked, and see if you agree or disagree with their rankings. All right, the Houston Texans, starting with the quarterback room, I have them number 11. Running back room, 13. Wide receivers, I have them 2nd. I have their wide receiver room 2nd. Tight end 6th. O-line 30th. D-line edge 10th. Linebackers 21. Cornerback 6th. And safety 18. Add those all together, divide them, they come out to be 13 even, which makes them the number 7 team on the more Sip2Tally Power Rankings. Let's take a look at their draft picks and see where they fit into this team. Their second round pick, because they didn't have a first, is Kamari Lassiter, DB from Georgia, who definitely can get into the mix in there, especially at that nickel spot. Blake Fisher, tackle from Notre Dame, is insurance to Titus Howard. Titus been hurt a lot. Kalen Bullock, a safety from USC. Cade Stover, the tight end who we talked about a minute ago, will be that third tight end. Linebacker Jamal Hill from Oregon. I don't see him getting in there and breaking that rotation unless somebody gets hurt. Jawar Jordan, the running back from Louisville. Maybe in a special team role or if somebody gets hurt, because I definitely can see with the new kickoff thing where he can get in and do that. Solomon Byrd, defensive end from USC, rotational piece because their defensive ends are dogs, both of them. Marcus Harris, D-line, that's that interior D-line. You can get in that rotation because both of those guys are not stars. And then they finished off with Ladarian Henderson, an offensive lineman from Michigan. And you can't really go wrong with an offensive lineman from Michigan because we know what they do at Michigan. And that's the Houston Texans draftees. That's also the number 7 team, the Houston Texans, on the more Sip2Tally Power Rankings. Let me know if you think they're too high, too low. I appreciate you guys for coming out. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. If you have not liked the video, please do so. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing that also. And hit that bell so you can be notified when the rest of this countdown continues. Tomorrow we have number 6. Then we'll be into the top 5 starting Friday and then next week. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace.